Greetings and welcome back to another episode of the Relationship School's Smart Couple Podcast. I'm your host, Jayson Gaddis. Grateful to be here with you in your ears. This podcast is for people that want to have authentic, deep connection. And we talk a lot about long-term relationship here, and that's the frame. So if you're interested in that, stick around. And if you're not interested in that, you're still going to gain a ton of value because the relationship skills and teachings and offerings here are going to help you with just about every relationship in your life. Today, I want to talk about caretaking. Caretaking. How do you know if you're a caretaker or people are caretaking you? So first of all, I want to unpack this and then we'll get into why caretaking is problematic in relationships. Years ago, I wrote a blog post called Caretaking versus Caring For, and I just reread it and I still really like it. And sometimes I don't like something I wrote 8 years ago, but this is pretty good. And I want to build off this blog post a little bit and just share a few things that to look out for in yourself and other people, and a challenge for you to perhaps do something different here. So caretaking, what is caretaking? Well, caretaking is just taking care of someone, looking out for them, right? Yet it's got a high side and a low side, an upside and a downside, like anything. And caretaking in this culture largely gets rewarded and praised. So if you were a little boy or a little girl and you grew up caretaking other people because you had a depressed parent or because you had a sick sibling or just because, that was kind of who you were. You looked after other people. You probably got a lot of praise and validation for that. And that became part of your identity. And you're the friend that everybody looks to remember their birthday. You're the one that sends the thank you notes and the birthday cards, and if someone gets cancer, you're like the first person to send a note to express your, grief and your support and, hey, what can I do? I'm here for you. You're the type of person that will drop just about anything to help someone else. Now, again, this is pretty cool that you have this tendency and this trait, and I appreciate you and people like you in the world. And I can relate. I'm a helper. I have a caretaking side of me that, has been pretty alive most of my life. So I'm also a caretaker at times. And again, the high side of this is you're that friend that's there for other people. And it just feels good to be taken care of by other people, like looked after. And like, hey, I care about you. And when I wrote that blog post, that was the distinction I was trying to make was caretaking versus caring for. Caring for is the high side of caretaking. It's when you're in your heart, there's no agenda, you're just trying to help someone because they're down and out, and it's who you are. It's just a natural expression. You're not looking for something in return necessarily. You're just like, hey, I'm here. What can I do? And it comes from a place of genuine just care, right? So that's caring for is the upside of caretaking. Okay, so those are synonymous in this blog post and in this podcast. So I'm going to use those interchangeably. So the upside is, again, what gets validated. The downside is what we need to look at because most of you caretakers don't look at this part, and it becomes problematic in an intimate relationship because often you are giving more than the other person. And you're doing it from a place of scarcity, fear, and discomfort. Not from a place of, I care about you. Because the thing that caretakers don't see is that sometimes taking good care of someone is letting them fall on their face. Letting someone fail. Letting someone get sick. And being there for them, but not trying to take their pain away. So that's what you got rewarded for as a little boy or girl, is often trying to take someone's pain away because you were scared you were going to lose them, or you got a lot of validation for it. So I'm trying to get you to see the downsides of caretaking. And caretaking also, in its extreme form, looks like you enabling other people. So this is the doting parent, for example, what some people call the helicopter parent, that is constantly in their kids' business and won't let their kids wipe their own ass or tie their own shoes. I'm, of course, exaggerating here, but they do everything, right? It's the parent that does a boy's laundry forever until he's 22 and he's out of college, and then he comes home to do his laundry, but he doesn't do it. His mom does it. That's enabling, guys. That leads to the people that have that term failure to launch. Failure to launch is a result of enabling parents. Parents that are having a hard time letting their child go. Often it's their youngest. And that's problematic, right? That becomes a man who's 25 years old or 30 years old and doesn't know how to do his own laundry. So if you marry a guy like this, you're going to be taking care of him. You're going to be doing the chores. You're going to be doing his laundry. And again, doing laundry isn't an issue if that's agreed upon in your relationship and there's no resentment there. It's like, yeah, hey, I do this and you do that. Sometimes we divide and conquer in a family. That's great. But what I'm talking about is disempowering someone to be an adult, all right? That's enabling. So that's the negative sort of downside of caretaking, is that we disempower other people. And ultimately, that's not good for other people. You rob them of their agency, and it's insulting to their inner innate intelligence and capacity. It's insulting, all right? So I really want you to examine your own caretaking behaviors. And it might work to a point in your relationship where you're just taking care of the addicted partner, for example. But that leads to burnout, and that's called codependency. A codependency is a one-way relationship. It's not reciprocal and it's not mutual. And you're supposed to burn out of that. Okay, that's not supposed to be feel good over the long haul. Some of you caretakers that have been in those kind of relationships, you know that that leads to resentment, and you feel burnt out and like, hey, what about me over here? I'm constantly giving and the other person's not. And what you people tend to do is you focus on the other person's not giving instead of you stepping back, right? Ellen and I talked about this in that dynamic of the mother-son a couple episodes ago, where the woman, let's say, is doing everything for the man. Same kind of deal. It's enabling. And your job is to step back as the caretaker and allow someone, caring for someone. The upside of caretaking is allowing them to fall on their face, allowing them to make mistakes and tie their own shoes until they got it, all right? Allowing them to do the laundry until they figure it out. And trusting that they'll be okay when they fall down. It's okay. Like, believe in their innate intelligence and integrity that they're okay on their own. They're going to be okay. And if they're not, again, whose problem is that? It ain't yours. If they're not okay from the inside, that's their journey they have to make. You cannot make their journey for them. And now I'm talking to the helpers, like therapists and coaches of you also, right? Some therapists and coaches get very distraught seeing their clients in pain, and you get anxious, right? I notice this in our coaches training. Sometimes some of the trainees, some of the coaches in training get very anxious seeing their clients in pain, and so they want to take it away, and so they come in and rush in to the rescue or to try to help them. Not helpful. You got to learn to sit in the discomfort, your discomfort of seeing them in pain. And that requires differentiation, which Ellen Bader talked about in that podcast. We need to separate ourselves from the other person enough to be like, oh yeah, I'm over here. This isn't my problem. I'm just here to help. And if they fail miserably and die or whatever, it's not on me. I'm not going to blame myself, right? I'm here to just love them through this painful experience they're going through. And I'm going to learn how to be with my own discomfort. Okay? All right, we'll go into this probably a little further soon around addiction. And because I get emails from time to time from you guys saying, yeah, but what if I'm with an addicted partner who has an addiction? So it'll be a very similar podcast, but it feels important to tease that out. All right. So stay tuned for that. Okay, guys. So here is your action step today. Your action step is to take one giant step back and breathe, seeing someone else in pain, and start to tease out, am I caretaking or am I caring for? Am I doing my habit, my childhood strategy habit, or am I in my adult breathing, and this is from my heart, and I'm willing to let the person fall down? You know, it's like a 5-minute meditation for you to just breathe, because you're guaranteed you're going to be around people that struggle, and you struggle, of course, but we're talking about you trying to help others. So I'm certain there is someone in your life that's struggling a little bit. See if you can relax out of the habit of rushing in to help them and just give it a day. See if someone else comes to the rescue instead. See if you can sit through your discomfort seeing them in pain, all right? All right, friends, I hope this was helpful, and we'll talk very soon.